Experience it on FS1.
Welcome to Rotterdam, Netherlands. Tomorrow, the Octagon lands in the country of windmills, tulips, and world-class kickboxers for the first time in history. And who better to headline the UFC's debut? The Dutchman Alister Owerem, the third-ranked heavyweight, returns home to face fifth-ranked stablemate Andrei Oрловский in tomorrow's main event. And another pair of big men throw down in the co-main event. Brazil's Bigfoot Silva takes on the Netherlands' own skyscraper Stefan Stroeve. The FS1 UFC Fight Night weigh-in show starts now. Tomorrow they fight, today they weigh in. Hello everyone, they're in the Netherlands. We are in the early hours of the morning here at the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles. I'm Karen Bryan alongside former light heavyweight champion Rashad Evans and top welterweight contender Tyron Woodley. John Gooden is on location for us as well. And Rashad, I know you're excited to see your old teammate Alister Owerem back in action.
Yeah, you know, I think Alister said it best when he says, well, when the Reem come to town, everyone gather around because I am the best heavyweight in the world. But he never said it.
I know, but that never gets old.
Too down.
I know.
I'm making this up.
No, but it's fantastic. Well, let's talk about our main event. We do have the Reem, Alister Owerem, coming in on a 3-fight win streak, taking on Andrei Oрловский, who's won 4 of his last 5 fights.
Yeah, you know, what's exciting about Alister is that he's getting back on track. The Alister that he was coming into the UFC, he's starting to get that confidence back, starting to figure out how to fight in the octagon and how to make sure his vast striking, it comes across in MMA. But he's going against Andrei Oрловский, who still has shown signs of being that champion he once was with great accurate striking. This is going to be a great fight.
And Andrei Oрловский is looking to get back into the championship fight. You know, he's been a world champion before. You got to think, these guys are both in crossroads in their career. They have to go out here and put themselves on the path to fight for UFC gold. It's a great matchup, not only because they're out of the same camp, but these guys aren't the best of friends, as I've heard. So.
No, a lot of storylines in that one and also in our co-main event. Hopefully they've reinforced the cage. 2 more big men. Bigfoot Silva traveling from Brazil to face the Dutchman, Stefan Stroeve.
Well, Bigfoot Silva's traveled a long way, and I hope he's thirsty, because this is a tall glass of milk. This guy, when you get that close to 7 foot, I'm calling it 7 foot. He's 7 foot tall. He finishes fights well, but I think Bigfoot's been in this position before. He's fought the top guys many times over and over again. These guys, you know, this is going to be a great matchup.
Yeah, and Struve is fighting at home and, you know, training at the Black Zillions camp. He's just been so excited about returning home, and he wants to give a great performance. I believe he's going to go out there and do his thing.
Going to be a great fight. We also have a good one with Gунnar Nelsson facing Альберт Туменов. Lots of great fights we will get to, but right now, we're going to send you back to Rotterdam to make tomorrow's bouts official. Here's your master of ceremonies, Mr. John Anik. Take it away, John.
What is up, Rotterdam? Thank you all for coming. This is the official UFC Fight Night weigh-in. How about a hand for our Octagon girls, Carly Baker, Luciana Andrade. Talent relations guru Sean Shelby is here. 3-time world title challenger, Kenny Florian. Veteran voice of the Octagon, Bruce Buffer. Our Vice President and General Manager, James Elliott. Senior Vice President of Regulatory Affairs, Mark Ratner, is with us as well. All right, we begin. Ricky Minette is here too, by the way. Let's get to the UFC Fight Pass prelims. First up in the flyweight division, Uluka Sasaki versus Willie Whoop-Ass Gates.
With the coolest name in the UFC, Whoop-Ass Willie Gates steps into the octagon for the 4th time. With a rare combination of speed, athleticism, and explosiveness, Gates has racked up 6 knockouts and 4 submission wins. And even with the late opponent change, as the nickname said, this kid is still focused on opening a can of whoop-ass tomorrow night.
$125 for Willie Gates. And his opponent, please welcome Uluka Sasaki.
Uluka Sasaki is a highly touted prospect out of Japan that will be making his UFC flyweight debut. He's a submission fighter that finishes fights. He's dangerous from every position, and he will be huge for the weight class. His go-to submission is a rear naked choke, as 8 of his 9 submissions have all ended in that position.
$125 for Uluka Sasaki. All right, our next fight is in the welterweight division. Leon Rocky Edwards versus Dominic Shonuff Waters. First fighter to the scale, please welcome Dom Waters.
Dominic Shonuff Waters is looking to find his footing in the UFC. Having tasted success in other organizations, he still believes he has what it takes to be a top UFC fighter. Tomorrow, he'll be looking to stake his claim in the division and come out with a big win.
$170 for Dom Waters. And his opponent is Leon Rocky Edwards.
England's Leon Edwards told me that he focused far too much on his wrestling in his last fight and needed to rediscover the Rocky Edwards that we knew as the knockout artist. He's looking for his 6th KO tomorrow night.
$169 and a hook for Leon Rocky Edwards. All right, that brings us to our featured prelim on UFC Fight Pass in the flyweight division. Koji Horiguchi versus Neil Two-Tap Siri.
Aside from mat time, for this camp, Neil Siri has turned online entertainer, producing some very funny vlogs. In that, it's clear to see that the Irishman is embracing being the underdog this weekend against the former title challenger.
$126 for Neil Siri. And his opponent, currently ranked number 5 in the world, former world title challenger, Koji Horiguchi.
Koji Horiguchi is a walking energy drink. The fly and the bantamweights at American Top Team both have issues dealing with his speed and his output. This forces him to occasionally have to train with lightweights. He has 9 KO victories and has won 10 of his last 11 bouts. Tomorrow night, he looks to send another message to his fellow flyweights.
$125 for Koji Horiguchi. All right, now we get to the FS1 UFC Fight Night prelims. First up in the lightweight division, Jan Kabral versus Rezza Mad Dog Madotti.
Fans of Sweden's Reza Madaди will know all about his energetic and charismatic persona, but it got the better of him last year in his return to the octagon. His camp have, however, told me that anticipation of his octagon return is now in the past, and he's very much focused on the task this weekend.
$155 for Reza Madotti. And his opponent, please welcome Jan Kabral.
Jan Kabral is a tough Brazil alum and a BJJ black belt with a relentless submission game. 11 of his 12 victories come by submission. If I'm doing a scouting report on Kabral, I'm telling my athlete you might want to watch out for the head and arm triangle, as 5 of his opponents have fallen victim to it. He's also spent time at Team Nova União to bring his striking skills up to the level of his ground game.
And with that backdrop, we will stay in the lightweight division. John Super Saiyan Tuck versus Josh Emmett. First fighter to the scale, making his UFC debut, Josh Emmett.
Undefeated fighter Josh Emmett had previously never left the US. He had in fact planned a passport for a European honeymoon, but instead went to Hawaii. That passport did, however, come in very handy when he got a late notice call to make his UFC debut right here in Rotterdam.
$156 for Josh Emmett. And his opponent proudly repping Guam. Please welcome John Tuck.
John Tuck finally gets a build off a big submission win in the Philippines after bouncing back from shoulder surgery against a late replacement, Josh Emmett. The kid from Guam is eager to get back in the octagon after a year off to show he can be a force in the lightweight division.
Take off the... 156 for John Tuck. All right, moving on now to the middleweight division. Magnus Shedenblad versus Garrett Soldier Boy McClellan.
Gareth McClellan is a fighter with a lot of grit and a lot of pride for his country of South Africa. He feels as if he's holding the banner high to open up doors for future fighters from his country. He's got 12 finishes on his record. 9 of those come via submission, 3 by KO, and 7 happening in the opening round. His record shows that he is a well-rounded fighter, but he looks to make his opponent a believer tomorrow night.
$184 for Gareth McClellan. And his opponent is Magnus Shedenblad.
Sweden's Magnus Shedenblad told me this week that we have only seen him at 50% in his past UFC fights. His recent hiatus due to injury has really taught him to embrace and enjoy life as a UFC fighter and not be intimidated by it. He's hoping this new mindset will really show through in his performances tomorrow night.
$185 for Magnus Shedenblad. Now we get to our featured FS1 prelim in the lightweight division. Rustam Tiger Hабилов versus Chris Uэйd. First fighter to the scale, unbeaten in the UFC, Chris Uэйd.
Chris Uэйd comes to the fight with a pretty big chip on his shoulder. He believes that he should have been on the main card. You know, he's been putting together 6 wins in a row, and, you know, he's been really putting a lot of work in. It's just that when you do that, when you put that kind of work in and you don't get the fight where you want it, it's disappointing. But at the same time, don't overlook the position where you at. You're on Fox FS1, buddy.
55, 155 for Chris Wade.
And that's our featured prelim, too. No shame.
And that's the thing about it. Like, I mean, he just believes in himself so much.
Get it?
Well, number one, I'm glad this fight is not a welterweight. Rustam Habiliv has been absolutely frightening in all his UFC appearances. He's rapidly becoming known as the sensei of the suplex. He said it's his job to slam them, and it's their business how they fall. In addition to his obvious superior wrestling, he is extremely sharp and has fast counterattacks, which sets up his wrestling attacks.
55, 155.
Not to mention he looks like a welterweight.
And now we get to the main card for FS1 UFC Fight.
Welcome back to Los Angeles. You can catch the next 6 fights right here on FS1, the exclusive home of the UFC, starting with a strawweight contest between Heather Jo Clark and Karolina Kowalkiewicz. T1, tell us about the Tough 20 alum, Heather Jo Clark.
Well, Heather Jo Clark, I actually spoke with her about fighting, and I actually like her fight philosophy. She's been trained under Benny the Jet, who trained Phil Nurse, which we know has trained a lot of UFC fighters. And, you know, she's very sharp. She has great ground game. She takes it back very well, and she has a blitzing straight right hand that she's not scared to use.
116, 116.
Training partner of the champ, Misha Tate, and you know, Heather Jo is coming back from having ACL surgery, so she is definitely fired up to get back in there.
Reports have surfaced that circumstances surrounding Poland's Karolina Kowalkiewicz's camp have been far from perfect. There have been some issues between team and coaches, but her management have assured me that she has been largely unaffected and in fact is looking to put on a performance to get her closer to the gold.
She's got that Holly Holm hair, Rashad.
Dude,
Ready to roll.
Luxurious hair.
For some reason, I don't think this is going to be too much ground fighting.
No, I don't think so either. Be fun.
115, 115 for Karolina Kowalkiewicz. All right, next up should be a good one in the light heavyweight division. Nikita, the minor Krylov, versus Frontsimar Bodao Baho.
Barrosо feels value being on the main card, and with 10 wins by KOs, 1/6 of his last, he should be. You know, the first time I got to be on the main card at UFC 63, I was just over the moon excited. But it was one of those things where I'm like, you know what? I finally made it to the big show. And that's exactly how he feels right now, making it to the big show, being on the main card. Everybody gets tuned in for this fight.
Definitely.
Who was yours against?
It was against, Jason Lambert. I almost forgot.
204, 204 for Bodao. And his opponent, number 14 in the world, Nikita Krylov.
6 fights into his UFC career, and Nikita Krylov has changed his fight moniker from Al Capone, which was a name given to him by a former manager, and one that he was never really keen on, to Miner, and that is in support of the mining district that he is from in the Ukraine.
This dude has never been in a decision fight, ever. He either finishes or gets finished. I don't think anything's going to change tomorrow night.
$205 for Nikita Krylov. Our next fight is in the bantamweight division. Jermaine, the Iron Lady Durandamy, versus Anna Panda Elmos.
undefeated knockout artist Anna Elmos has made the very unique transition from horse riding to combat sports. However, there have been many transferable skills. Her camp have told me that her immense strength and stability has really shown through in her jiu-jitsu and her wrestling.
Guys, the nickname Panda, she said, came from the fact that when she started boxing, she often had 2 black eyes.
Wow.
35, 135.
I love that she
That song, Panda, Panda.
No, I love that she's got a sense of humor about it, so it keeps that as a nickname.
His own Jermaine Durandamy.
Jermaine has won 5 in the last 7. She is the best when it comes to stand-up, 10-time world Muay Thai champion. And she's fighting at home. When you fight at home, you almost got to manage your emotions a bit because you don't want to get too excited, but you want to make sure you still fight methodical so you don't get caught in anything. She has a great stand-up advantage, but that does not mean she can give into her emotions and get carried away. This should be a good fight because, I'm excited to see her stand up.
Oh, yeah.
She has some love, too, coming out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes that energy gives you the extra boost when you're in there.
35, 135 for the Iron Lady.
And you can see just the energy she has right now. She's going to have to manage that tomorrow, harness it a little bit just so she can...
Right.
Yeah, you can't be too pumped up out there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you can if you get it done.
Hey,
she does have 46 knockouts. 46 wins and 30 knockouts. So.
In the welterweight division, Albert Einstein Tumenov versus Gunnar Nelson.
Gunnar Nelson is one of my favorite fighters. I like to watch him fight. And his last fight with Damian Maia, he said, I was not fighting like myself. And sometimes it happens. Sometimes you go out there and you lay an egg. When I fought Tito Ortiz, the first thing I thought when he grabbed the hold of me was, man, my corners lied to me. This dude is a lot stronger, a lot better than I thought. And having that thought, sometimes when that happens, it's hard to break out of it. And you can't get out of it until the fight's over. And you're like, what just happened?
170.
Yeah, Damian Maia pretty much schooled him that night. But that's a great learning lesson, right?
He's enough to pull it together.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Albert Tumenov.
Well, Rashad, one of my favorite fighters is Albert Einstein Tumenov. Man, this kid is purely violent when he comes forward. He overwhelms his opponent with powerful combination. After he stands in front of you, he likes to throw that head kick with the left leg, and he gives you no option but to back up. So I think he's going to put Gunnar Nelson on his heels, and, we'll see how this fight pans out.
Yeah, Gunnar's going to have to stay off the cage.
He's definitely going to have to stay off the cage because he does a great job of working the body up, and it's going to be hard to take him down because he uses those angles so well.
70. 170 for Albert Tumenov.
I know you always have your eyes on these guys.
Always.
In the division.
Always looking over his shoulder, feel him breathing down the back of your neck.
This is like the coldest stare down
It
ever.
is.
Cold-blooded.
And now we get to the co-main event in the heavyweight division. Bigfoot Silva versus Stefan Skyscraper Stroove. First fighter to the scale. Welcome home, Stefan Stroove.
Stroove returns home, and it's something he was very excited about all camp. He talked about how excited he was to go home. And, I'm excited about Stroove because I love to see him still grow. Not only, in the octagon and stuff like that, but he's actually physically growing. I think he grew like an inch since he's been at the camp.
65, 265 for
He doesn't need to grow another inch.
And he's got that JP for,
That's right, for your team.
Jordan Parsons, who passed away tragically Wednesday.
Antonio Bigfoot Silva, former champion of Elite XC, he's a former UFC contender, and he's actually looking to try to make a comeback. He had a comeback KO of Alistер Overim, which is the main event of this fight, so it should put him in position to go out there and do what he needs to do. Look at what he's pointing at, respect the fight. If you know this guy, and I know him very well because he's an ATT guy, he trains his butt off. He's had a very, very focused camp. It's been intimate, it's been private, and he's put himself in a position where he can just focus on the opponent at hand because this guy is no joke, man. The guy he's fighting has a lot of finishes, and he took it very seriously.
And as he would say, respect the fight.
You could get a side gig, man. You got these impersonations down pat.
I'm going to get in the fight. That's what I'm going to do.
66, 266 for Bigfoot Silva.
Here's a complete different hair deal going on. He got the little swoop over, the beard game strong.
Nice.
He's still in it. He's still in it for the face off.
Look at
like
the
it.
men on the marquee. They will share the octagon for tomorrow night's heavyweight main event.
Andrei Arlovski versus Alistер Оверим is a fight between two of the very best strikers in the UFC's heavyweight division. The former champion, Andrei Arlovski, who went on a spectacular win streak, he has beaten Brendan Schaub, Bigfoot Silva, Travis Brown in one of the most epic fights in the history of the heavyweight division. His wins inside the octagon have been nothing short of spectacular. He's coming off of a very disappointing loss to Stipe Miocic, but Andrei Oрловский would love to get back on the winning track.
Because of that loss, I became more angry, more hungry for the victory, and I want to beat Overeem so bad, even more than I want to beat Stipe Miocic.
In Alistер Oверим, you have one of the scariest, most terrifying strikers the sport has ever seen. He has devastating knees, punches, kicks, and elbows, and Alistер Overeem's last victory was one of the most impressive victories of Alister's career. It was the fruits of all of his labors inside Jackson Winklejohn's mixed martial arts gym, the same gym where Andrei Oрловский trains.
I want to become the champion, and to become the champion, you need to be willing to face anybody, even your teammates.
Technically, I'm teammate with Overeem, but nothing more. As the reality is, I'm gonna do everything possible to beat him, period.
Well, for me, this fight is huge. I believe with a win over Andrei Oрловский, I cement my place for a shot at the title.
Of course, I want to fight for the title, and I want so bad to be a champion again. I will do everything possible to knock his ass out.
First fighter to the scale, the former UFC heavyweight champion, Andrei Oрловский.
Well, he said it, former UFC champion Andrei Oрловский is looking to make one of the greatest comebacks in the sport of mixed martial arts. To do so, he got to go through Alistер Overim, who's a teammate but not necessarily a friend. Andrei has been open to say that he does not like the way that Overeem trains. He claims that he hurt him during a training session, and I really believe he's trying to get back. He had a 6-fight win streak, and many people thought that was a reawakening of the pit bull.
Heavyweight champion, Amsterdam's finest, Alistер Overim.
No doubt the biggest Dutch MMA star is Alistер Overim. He gets a big ovation from the Dutch fans, and look at him just giving them thanks. You know, one thing I'm excited about Alistер is just how he's been able to pull things together. You know, at one point, he was the biggest star, but then he kind of fell off a little bit, but now he is back.
44, 244 for the Reem.
His confidence is back, his focus is back, and it seems like he's figured something out that he's forgotten before.
He's always had the tools. He always had the option. Putting it together very well.
All right, we step over here and bring in the former UFC heavyweight champion, Andrei Oрловский. I'll make it quick. You've obviously been in a lot of big spots in your career. Your thoughts on the eve of yet another UFC main event?
I'm very excited to be headliner in UFC Fight Night Rotterdam against, I guess, like very well-known guy in Holland. So I have a lot of respect to him like a fighter. It's going to be a good fight.
Andrei Oрловский, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, the man who will walk to the octagon last, Alistер Overim. Again, you've been in a lot of big ones. Gotta be a special feeling, though, for you here in Rotterdam.
It's very special to be back in Holland, and I'm very happy with this turnout. The event sold out in a couple of hours, and then next year we're going to be doing the Amsterdam Arena. So see you guys next year.
Alistер Overim. All right, folks, that makes it official. Thank you all so much for coming out. We'll see you right back here for the fight tomorrow night.
All right, everyone made weight. We are official. Don't go anywhere, folks. Next up, we'll dive into Dutch kickboxer Alistер Overeem's game plan and see how he can score knockout number 20 in his homeland tomorrow. This is FS1.